Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. As you can see, for today I have another ink wash painting for you guys. This video is going to be slightly longer than normal, just because I wanted to also show here in the beginning my process of how I set up a little bit. And as you can see also, my desk is a lot lighter because here in wintertime in Finland it gets quite dark. And even though I have a lamp over my desk, it still casts some major shadows into the corners on the bottom of my writing desk. So my wonderful boyfriend helped me set up some LED lights on the underside of my desk so that it would light up the dark corner so you guys could see a little bit better when I was painting and stuff like that. And also for my birthday I got a tripod from him for my phone so I could get a better angle for my camera when I'm painting. So let's get started with today's painting then. Now this is a drawing actually that I did a while back for the 365-day sketchbook challenge, and I just sort of shelved it. I never got around to finishing it like I would have wanted to, mainly because I was busy with other things, and then I also recently had to start filming some lessons for Skillshare.com. So if you guys would like to take any of those classes, it's on stippling, and it's for beginners. It's basically very good for anybody. It doesn't matter what your skill level is with artwork. It should be nice and easy to follow along, and the exercises are very basic. So if you'd like to participate, I will have the link for that below in the description, so please follow that. But as I was saying, I was busy working on creating those lessons, filming them, editing, so on and so forth, and it took quite a lot of time, and trying to balance that, and then having to do any voiceover with editing as well, and you know, having to handle that. And my boyfriend's also now home on an extended sick leave because he's been into surgery, so also trying to find some quiet time has been a little bit tricky lately, but we've worked our way around it. So now that I'm finished with the Skillshare videos, I decided I was going to come back and start working on some of my own projects again. And this piece was one of them. Basically the idea here is a girl waiting for a bus in the fall here in Finland. It's very dark and gloomy, so ink washes was actually perfect for this idea. And as you can see, as the painting progresses, there'll be, you know, little patches of snow here and there because it snows on and off here in Finland this time of year. So it'll be dark and gray and gloomy, but then there will also be bits of snow, and then they tend to stick around for a while, so you can still see them on the sides of streets and stuff like that. And now, as you can see here, again, I'm doing the forest thing, but here in Finland it's actually quite a big thing. We have lots of forests and, you know, trees and greenery, and I like that. And even here in highly populated areas, there's still lots of patches of little woodlands, so I decided I need to incorporate that for this idea, and I was really happy with how it turned out. Now I tried to speed this video up quite a bit so that it wouldn't obviously be a real-time type of video. It took quite a while to do this painting, but it was actually very relaxing, surprisingly. I don't remember most of my process when doing this because I was rendering the videos for my Skillshare classes, and then I just sort of decided that now, while those are, you know, finishing up and I have time to do something for myself, that I was just gonna sit down and do this one. At first I was a little bit hesitant because I thought, oh, I'm gonna mess it up because, you know, slightly tired, but actually it worked out really well. Because I was so tired, I wasn't thinking too much, so I just went with it, and I didn't worry too much about messing up as I went along. So everything kind of turned out nicely in the end, I would say. And yeah, it went really smoothly, and I was very happy with the end result of this one. There were little bits in here that came along, like I didn't, you know, leave any kind of marks for myself for where the tree stump that the girl in the background is walking on ends, and things like that. And I don't draw the tree line in advance when I do negative painting, because I kind of want to give it a natural feeling that they just build up with the paint and whatever feels right. But that's also tricky here because it's also a background that is, you know, moving backwards into the horizon. And so planning those trees was a bit trickier because they, instead of just being, you know, layers on a kind of a flat background, this was kind of a curving background that went off into the horizon. So that was tricky to negotiate. But other than that, I was fairly happy with how that was turning out. As you can see, I'm just painting away and filling in the background with the trees. It's actually very soothing. I recommend it if you want to paint something that doesn't take too much thought and planning ahead of time. Do some trees. Give it a test run. It can be in watercolors or it can be in inks like I have done here. A further note on all this is now that it's Christmas time, I'm basically preparing more artworks and stuff that I can sell for the future, and working on things like that. My Etsy now has some prints available if you guys are interested in anything like that. And if you see, or if you don't see something that you would like in the Etsy store, and you see something on my Facebook page that you would like to have as a print, please let me know. Send me a message or something, or leave a comment, and I will try to get those prints up as soon as possible. There's still plenty of time left to order any kind of gifts for Christmas and so on, so just drop me a line and a hint if there's something that you want. And I'm also still available to do custom orders if there's something that you had in mind that you would like to do and have personalized for someone or for yourselves. You can always send me a message and let me know what it is you're looking for, and I will let you know whether or not I have the time to do it, and most likely I can squeeze you in, so just, shoot me a message and we'll work it out, and we'll see if I can get it to you by the time that you would like to have it. So now here's the part where I start working on the two characters in the image, and that's usually, you know, my favorite part. Other than doing the trees, I do love doing the trees a lot. It's very soothing for me. But here I had a very clear idea in mind for the first time, how I wanted at least the character in the front to look. She was based on somebody that I actually saw at a bus stop here one day when I was driving with my boyfriend to go see his mom. There was a girl in almost like a brown felt kind of winter jacket, and she also had a brown winter hat that was in the same color, and she just stayed in my mind and her position as she was standing there waiting for the bus. So I made a caricature out of her, and I already had the color scheme in mind of how I wanted to do that. So that was actually neat for me to actually have something like that pre-planned. But the girl in the back, she was actually from a series that I had been sketching when I had been sitting at my old university, just hanging out, and it was in the library of my old university. So there were people passing me, and the backpacker guy from one of my previous videos was also from that day. And this young lady came in to the library wearing her little hat with the, you know, the fluffy ball at the end of it, and the thick jacket, and her backpack on her back. And I just did a quick, like an impression sketch of her. I really liked her. And then she became another little caricature, and when I was planning out which ones I was going to use and paint later, I knew I had to use her somewhere. I just wasn't sure where. And then since I had this character in the front that I really knew I wanted to paint, I decided I would combine them and make it kind of like, you know, people either heading to school or off to work, whatever the case, you know, just on their way for daily life. And I'm sorry here, every now and again you're going to see my face popping into the screen because my new phone is on this tripod. It was kind of weird for me to have to figure out where I should keep my head. So every now and again I would lean forward to look at details of what I was doing, and then naturally my face pops into view. But here I start working now on the main character in the front. I knew I wanted to use very light washes to give that effect of that brown felt, you know, almost like lambskin kind of coat, and the same for her hat. And so it kind of just worked out naturally. The only part that I really had to concentrate on, that I have learned from the past now working with ink washes, is to always lay out all of the light parts first and then work into dark, because if you put dark first and then you try to do light after, the dark tends to bleed into the light. And it was just something I struggled with so much, because normally with watercolors I just haven't had that problem that often, really. But I guess just the nature of the ink that I'm working with, it tends to just run more easily into other colors if you're not careful. Other colors into other shades. So I learned my lesson, and in this one I think I've really perfected that technique where I just did the lightest parts first, so her coat and her hat and obviously her skin, and then I went in and did the boots and the scarf and the gloves, and I worked my way around that. And then once all the light parts were done, I would then go and do the banister that's behind her, and the log that the other girl is standing on, and the street, and so on. Now normally I would have done the reverse. I would have done the entire background first, so that I would know where my darkest areas were and my lightest areas. But because of the nature of ink, I kind of had to flip that upside down. But it wasn't a bad experience. Normally I don't like a change in my routine, but in this case I was fine with it, and I managed to handle it quite well. And I got the effects that I wanted, which is the main point. Because sometimes it's very difficult to get what you're trying to do, you know, in a medium that you're not used to. And here I didn't really try and control how much of the blooms were occurring or any kind of bleeding. I kind of just let it do its own thing, because I like that effect where it's not really that clean or polished, you know, necessarily. And yeah, I think it turned out really nice. The only part that I wasn't too happy with in the end, I think, was the sidewalk underneath her feet, because I you can see quite lightly there in pencil I had outlined the different sections of the concrete, but with the darkness of the ink that I had used, that kind of, it got a little bit lost and I couldn't see it so well because the pencil was so light, so I kind of had to guess. So some of them came out a bit crooked, which I was upset with because I was very happy with how they were in the pencil sketch, that they were, you know, nice and fairly even and so on. But, you know, you can't win all the time. It's still, like I said, in the end, I was fairly happy with the outcome of this piece. And I didn't bother too much here with shadows and stuff, like I normally would. I guess I just kind of wanted it to be really flat and cartoony, not too much of that kind of detail. And I think that was actually okay to do it that way. It looks like something out of a children's book, and that was actually all right. I kind of wanted to experiment with that to see if I could use that in my storybooks and so on and so forth when I work on them, how it would look if I left shadows out. And then obviously in other pieces I've always put shadows in, so I can compare and I can eventually in the end decide which I like better. But yeah, so this was a really good, fun experiment. I really love how this one turned out. I will also put this one up in my Etsy for sale fairly soon, so if you guys are interested in that, you know, just drop me a message and I'll try to get up there as soon as possible. And if you would also like prints of this one, I can also put those up fairly quickly. But that's basically it. That's, you know, all the thoughts I have for today on this piece and on this journey so far. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. I'll try to put up some more videos a bit more frequently. I tried to make this one long on purpose to make up for the fact that I've been quiet for so long. Hopefully it doesn't bother anyone that I'm rambling a bit here. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you back on my channel fairly soon. Like I said, if you guys are interested in the stippling lesson that I have on Skillshare.com, please check the description box below for the link, and hopefully I'll see you guys there. And well, hopefully I'll see you guys back here on my YouTube channel fairly soon as well with my next videos. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of this video, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!